everybody, and welcome to the Hockenheimring for the third last round in the Radical Sim Racing European Championship for 2025. As we draw to the end of another iRacing season, it's another great circuit. I've got to say, we've ended with some fantastic ones on Friday nights, some of them being brought over to Sunday evening here over European time. Fuji 3 weeks ago was one of those. Hockenheim is another one. Good to be with you here tonight for this one. Myself, Ewan Louis, JR Gregory alongside me. It's good to have you back alongside me, JR, after a long summer break from June 22nd to August 17th. There was no racing in this series, but in these final couple of months, it all comes very quickly. And in just over a month's time, month and a half's time, we're going to know who will be at the extra World Finals and indeed the World Finals itself at the end of 2025.
Yeah, really looking forward to seeing this one unfold at Hockenheim this season. Has been really outstanding. And one of the things that has made it outstanding is track selection. We have the majority of the tracks on this European schedule are past or present Formula One tracks that really allows these radicals to shine. You see it right there. Long Beach, Nürburgring, Suzuka, Red Bull Ring, Fuji, and here we are at Hockenheim. We'll round it out at Imola and Zandvoort. But these SR10s absolutely strut their stuff at these F1 tracks, and Hockenheim's going to be fantastic.
That's a good point. 80% of the tracks are past from present as well, so we'll end it off in that vein. Hockenheim, Imola, Zandvoort, our final three. Finally, we can fill in the season in its entirety. Let's show you about the prizes, of course, for European and America's Championship competition here in 2025. The champion gets a 12-month iRacing subscription along with free entry next season, alongside an entrance into the World Finals this year. In fact, the top 7 go straight to the World Finals. P2 also gets the free entry to next year. From P8 to P14, they qualify for the Last Chance World Finals qualifier, and that gives them a chance to go to the World Finals itself. The team's champions in each class get a track for free and a free entry into next year, as well as the vice champions, who also get a free entry next season in 2026. So far, those drivers who are making it into the top 7 are as follows. Christoph Lipp is leading the way by quite some distance now, 59 points over Christopher Tremaine. It's Havok Gullikson only a few points further back, and actually very close with James Barry and Cattell Larson as well, rounding out the top 5. Sebastian Lipp can be called in that group as well. Oscar Soltero is the final driver in that group, that top 7, and then it gets close with those who are looking to make it in. Andreas Friedrich, Mats Gerstenbakken and Sully Rattanen, all not too far away. These are the team standings in a iRacing team leading by a very long way with their 2 teams. RGL Coatings are the next, in fact they're 3 of the next 4. Nix Esports are involved there as well, of course, in 5th place. But it's an iRacing team who look like they're going to be taking 1st and 2nd in the pro team standings. In the AMS, it is a little bit closer for those top 7, but of course less points scored per day in the AMS generally. Luke Crowley leading the way and is almost safe as far as making it to the World Finals goes. Louis Gregg is 46 points behind, with Gabriel Berger not too far away, and Eric Benson as well. Robert Walker then rounds out the top 5, but doesn't have very much space down to the cut line at Mika Henrik Hulkonen. Neither does Ole Gunnar Strentrud or Pablo Serrano. Menno de Graaf and Stefan Mellis round out the top 10. P-Team Racing are leading the way in the Team AM standings, ahead of Team Slow-Mo, with Project 91 Academy in 3rd. The teams at the bottom have not scored very many points after not being at very many rounds so far in 2025. Let's have a look at what happened last time out as we visited Fuji. A bit of a slipstreaming circuit at these in these cars, to be honest. This is how things got underway at the very long run down in towards Turn 1 here at Fuji, and the very wide Turn 1 as well, which allowed lots of drivers to fan out 3 and even 4 wide. I think that was Sotero just having a little look down the inside. But it was Christoph Lipp who led the race, just in front of IGL teammates Gullikson, Sorensen and Larson, who were all in one long line. You can see Frank Sikorsky trying to get involved with them as well. It was a good chase initially from Gullikson, but he just 10 minutes in would go for a big spin just for the penultimate corner, allowing Christoph Lipp to get cleared. You can see just 15 minutes later, Lipp held an 8-second lead over the rest. Lots of midfield battles went on. Luke Crowley was the leader in the AM class for a while, though that wasn't his best moment. He tried to pass Ivan Bremer, and in the end, Sikorsky and Lipp went straight back through on him. Sikorsky and Bremer would continue their fight although this was a bit more of a working together later on as they would chase a very strong result at the end. That wasn't their best working together either, though. Sikorsky went going straight through and then straight back behind again in towards turn number 1. In the background, Pablo Serrano was closing on them in the AM class. I mentioned that Crowley was leading by a long way, but Serrano was bearing down on him, and then Crowley made some mistakes. And so Serrano got involved in the group that Crowley was formerly in and decided to pit instead of getting involved. Just over 10 minutes to go in the race at this stage as the drivers went a long way on fuel. Don't forget, 2 stops made in these races, the last of which was made very late on this occasion at Fuji. They were all made by this point though, and James Barry was under big pressure to bring this home with Christoph Lipp a long way out in front. He didn't need to worry about anything particularly. It was about Barry defending from the likes of Gullikson and Larson, and here comes Gullikson down the inside and into the lead. A bit of jockeying for position at this stage, really, to see who should be where going on to the last lap, really, and that big straight on the front straight. Unfortunately for Barry, though, it would be a case of being outnumbered. Gullikson would defend to the inside line as Barry tried to look on the outside. A switchback from Kittil Larson on the way back down the hill would make it not quite 3 wide, but he would slip through on James Barry, who would end up losing a podium in the end. The IGO drivers working that out very well to finish in 2nd and 3rd behind Christoph Lipp, who would win, and Pablo Serrano, who would win in the AM class as well. A great result from Serrano to take his victory this time around. He moved into the top 7 with it by far his best overall finishing position. He moved into the top 7, and that would be an automatic advancing spot inside the World Finals at the end of November. This is the start of qualifying then, or the end of qualifying I should say, just over 3 minutes to go. This is going to be a bit of a different track to Fuji, JR. It's a lot narrower, and it's both former F1 circuits, that much is true, and I think both will provide good racing as Serrano goes for a slide off into the drag strip there. But it is very narrow, and you get the feeling that track position in this qualifying session, a good time, is going to be pretty important.
Yeah, qualifying and opening track position will be important. And speaking of the draft, I'm looking at that long run down the Parabolica, and we're looking at that right now as Stefan Mellis goes through turn 5, approaching the turn 6 hairpin. And this is going to combine a couple of interesting traits of this SR10. There's going to be a massive draft down that curved straightaway coming up to the hairpin, and these cars are not great on the brakes, and they're not great putting the power down out of those low speed corners. So we're going to see that on display back to back. Otherwise, Hockenheim is Hockenheim. It's super interesting. We're with Mellis now looking up at one of a couple of hidden apexes. You really have to have your practice time in to do well here. Turn 1 is another example. That apex hidden behind the Armco. You got to turn in blind and have faith that you have gotten it right and at a very high rate of speed. So definitely a technical test of the driver's skills, and it's really going to expose who has the seat time here in practice time and who did not come prepared.
As Mellis over the line, just over 2 seconds off the pole, and that will get him somewhere near the back. 22nd so far. As Christopher Terrain just 89 thousandths behind Sebastian Lipp, who has currently got the best time. Christoph Lipp is 3rd at the moment, about halfway round his lap, and there he is actually just down the bottom of the circuit, down at the hairpin turn 6. And that's going to be one of the big talking points as well. Those big moves down to the hairpin, especially lap 1. That's where the drama happens. But after that, it is the best overtaking opportunity on this lap by some way.
Yeah, it definitely is. And as I said, we're going to be seeing a big game of leapfrog going down that back straightaway. It's listed on my track map as turn 5, the whole thing, but it's kind of a long curve straight. And we are going to see those cars training up along there and see some contested entries into turn 6 all afternoon.
Yeah, it's sort of an attempt, really, this racetrack to maintain its previous character while also... of course, the previous character of the long straights out in the forest, I mean, and also bring a bit of modernisation to it as well. Back in the early to mid 2000s, back when the forest was no longer used, and in fact it's been regrown now. I think the trees now line that where the racetrack used to be now. Maybe I've got that wrong, but There's no even gap in the forest anymore where the drivers used to race through there. It's a modernised Hockenheim, although it's a very different circuit to what we saw back in the day. Back in all those... sorry, go on.
Oh, it's very, very interesting history of this place that you touched on a little bit. And if folks are kind of interested in F1 history and European racing history, check out the Wikipedia page and look at the maps of how the track has changed. It's really fascinating. The most recent iteration, quite long, but here's your starting grid.
Absolutely. It's Sebastian Lipp who's taken the pole here for the iRacing team. In fact, the two big teams are sort of lined up alongside each other, if you like. The two Lipps on one side. It's Christopher Terrain and Lasse Sorensen on the other side. Rudolf Nagel and Andreas Friedrich then are on row 3. 7th place for Kim-Andre Björklund with Howard Gullikson alongside. Sully Reitinen and Oscar Soltero round out the top 10. James Barry will be disappointed with 11th, ahead of Junius Kyriakopoulos. George Gonzaga and Ivan Bremer then are on row 7, and Eric Benson, who's taken the pole in the AMS. Alexander Totrum-Scarrett will be 16th, ahead of Luke Crowley and Robert Walker for B Team Racing. At 19th place for Gabriel Berger alongside Louis Gregg. Mano de Graaf and Stefan Mellis round out the field. 22 drivers in the field. Pablo Serrano was in the session at some stage, but didn't set a time. Hopefully he does get to the start line, but not looking like it at the moment. Just coming up to 10 o'clock in the morning, 26 degrees on the track, Celsius, 78 Fahrenheit. Not temperatures that will be too much of a worry, but it will be 2 pit stops as always in this series, and the tactics are going to be fascinating as it so often is.
Yeah, too right. And looking at people like James Barry may not have qualified where he wanted to in P11. Also Serrano without a time. Lewis Craig back in P20 probably wishes for a couple more cracks at his qualifying. So these drivers will have an opportunity to do a very quick undercut. The fuel window opens immediately. So if somebody just can't hack with the traffic, they can jump in and pick up their first fuel load and get some open air and undercut the people ahead.
The revs rise here from the Hockenheimring as another hour of racing in the Radical Sim Racing European Championship for 2025 is set to get underway. Green flag from the Hockenheimring, and we are going towards turn number 1. It's 3 wide nearly in the background as the RGL cars took to try and come through on Christoph Lipp, the number 1 car, not getting off to a great start this time round as Sorensen pushes Terrain into second position. In fact, he has a look at his teammate on the way down towards turn 2, but he's not going to make a move there. Rudolf Nagel under pressure from Björklund in the mid back there for 6th place as well. Side by side just behind them between Gullikson and Reitinen as they all go. Oh, and there's a spin in the background. Contact as well. Gabriel Berger is involved. Robert Walker as well. Going off the side of the circuit. There they are. The B Team Racing car picks itself up in the blue, and Berger as well. Just getting himself back going as it's single filing towards the top end of the circuit. And look at that. Big dive down the inside. Oh, and Rudolf Nagel goes for a spin too. It was always going to happen. There were so many diving down the inside. It was 3 wide into the hairpin, and something had to give. In the end, Rudolf Nagel spins around and drops to the back as well.
Wow, and just when I was about to compliment this field of getting through turns 1 through 4, very, very difficult on cold tires in these radicals, things kind of fell apart in that 2, 3, 4 complex. So easy to spin there as you see Berger going wide. That's must have been Nagel kind of following in sympathy. And here's the real problem. The clog into turn 1, 3 wide, not going to work. Crash here, inevitable, and doink, there you see it as Nagel taking a spin.
Was almost 4 wide into the hairpin there, and Nagel goes all the way back. My goodness, that is not a good start at all for the SimRC driver, who has now got a lot of work to do. The slipstream around this circuit lets you stay in touch relatively easily, but you can very much break that slipstream with a good bit of pace and a bit of a battle as well, as we've seen for 6th place. That they were very close actually, 6th place on back to actually losing the group. Björklund looks like he's made it. Now Sully Reitinen's in danger of not making it. Now you can see some of the gaps a little bit further down. It's hard to pick up the slipstream from all the way back there, so they're going to have to just worry about that for the next couple of moments. As into the hairpin, Lipp again ahead of Terrain. He's not going to get any pressure this time. This is lap 2, I think, as Serrano comes from the back of the field. Ooh. Oh, way too late on the brakes. And he hits one of the PT. Was that Crowley that he hit maybe? Coming through turn 2 and 3. It was another B-team racing car, I think, and it must have been Crowley who he hit. That was a really catastrophic miscalculation there from Serrano.
Yeah, Serrano, pardon the expression, coming in hot there at the hairpin at the expense of his own teammate. And you don't want to be that guy. Serrano trying to make things happen quickly after not setting a qualifying time, and he's not going to make any friends with that maneuver.
Well, sadly not. He did recover from a lowly starting position to win at Fuji, did Serrano, but not sure he's going to be able to do it with damage as well, like he seems to have after that opening lap incident, as the first 3 laps are complete. Sebastian Lipp leading the field around, and Lipp does need a good result here. He's teetering on the edge of the cut-off line, although he does have quite a gap. He could make it a little bit more comfortable for himself. And there is Louis Gregg, who also went for a spin. Separate, I think, to the Serrano incident coming out of turn number 2. So plenty of spins going on here in the opening part of this race. Out onto the parabolica again here as Christopher Terrain gets into the slipstream of Sebastian Lipp. 3/10 of a second. Does he want to try and take this lead of the race, or does he try and stay behind like he did last lap? Looks like he's saving fuel and sitting there. You know, normally in the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes, we see a little bit more punchiness, a little bit more overtaking, but not really seeing that at the moment between these guys. A lot of saving fuel for the early stage of this race so far.
Yeah, and you know, these drivers do spend time working on this track, putting practice time in and doing their fuel calculations, and they may have determined that there's a large advantage following, and Sebastian not bothered by it, of course, but yeah, you certainly could have seen him move there by Tavern on Sebastian Lipp into that hairpin, and not going for it there. So staying nose to tail, conserving a little fuel and conserving tires for now. And I'd note that Serrano and that episode that happened on the back straightaway there, that took Craig and Crowley way down in the list in the standings, and those are P1 and P2 in AM here, so that could have some consequences in the championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Crowley has got such a lead that he should be okay to keep the championship lead tonight, but he will be under a bit more pressure, certainly, if it stays as it is. Eric Benson's doing by far the best job of anybody in the AM class so far tonight, 13th place, with pros lining up behind him. Menno de Graaf is 4 seconds further behind, so that's a nice lead to have only 5 minutes into this race. At the top of the screen again, we will see the leaders and again see whether they actually battle with one another or not. Travain's closer this time, but Lipp, and now he does go for it. Lipp might have been lulled into a false sense of security in these last couple of moments because he didn't defend that, and maybe he was just waiting for that to happen, but he very much let that happen, and Christopher Travain now leads this race, although Lipp will be coming back again on the way towards turn 8 in front of the Mercedes grandstand here at the end of the lap, and no, he cannot get through into here, and nowhere near close enough. So I'm not sure whether Lipp was happy to just let that one go, or whether he was caught off guard, but Christopher Travain leads now.
Well, it sure looked to me like Lipp was caught out, and we saw last week, as you pointed out in the highlights, these IGL Coatings cars working together, and Lipp in the sandwich now. He not only has Tavarin ahead to worry about, but Lasse Sorensen is all over him here, and may have a crack at him the next time down that long back straightaway.
Yeah, that's the real worry here for Lipp, that his teammates are a little bit further behind and not even really putting any pressure on Sorensen, who's third place queued up there. Sorensen, Friedrich next, and Lipp is next in line. And you know, Friedrich doesn't look quite to have the speed at the moment to these guys, and maybe Christoph Lipp will have to be let through there. Another look from Sorensen, even into turn 2. He's not going to go for it there. He might have been better served just waiting, actually, for this bit. But anyway, he's just had a peek, and now he's going to have another proper look as they come out of turn number 4 and into the slipstream now for Lasse Sorensen on the back of Sebastian Lipp, who now, don't forget, has got slipstream of his own to try and defend with. That will help him as his teammates are side by side behind, exchanging places to help him. He's fighting alone for the moment. He might have made the ill-advised decision to go to the outside here as Sorensen takes advantage, and he's going to immediately get slipstream off his teammate. In fact, he doesn't even require it there. Lasse Sorensen through on the traction zone there effectively. Now there's going to be another look from Lipp, is there? There's certainly a defence from Sorensen, but IGL Coatings take a 1 and 2, and this is always a dangerous situation for all the other drivers and teams. When a team takes 1 and 2 like that, it's quite difficult to topple them.
Yeah, I kind of saw that coming. Lip might have wanted that one back and kept that inside covered, because Sorensen able to very easily kind of follow his teammates' defensive line down the inside of that hairpin, and they're already starting to work a gap ahead of Lip. So Tavarin and Sorensen showing the pace here early. We're only 10 minutes in. Sorensen gets a little sloppy there, though. Very, very difficult section of the track right there. Caught Sorensen out a little bit.
That was so close. Lip there very nearly drove straight into Sorensen there and just took him straight out. But he did see it coming, thankfully. Pit stops won't be too far away, by the way. Sully Ratten and George Gonzaga have already decided to come in, but they are back in the pack trying to get out of traffic. So you can understand their motivation for wanting to be the first down pit lane. But just watch out for that now with these front five, because it's an awkward pit lane to get onto here, as we'll explain in a moment. Here comes the Parabolica again, and Sebastian Lip is coming again now on the back straight in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Sorensen defends, but doesn't really need to. Sebastian Lip happy to fuel save just for the moment, but you know, this is awkward when you're in this kind of group to actually get in pit lane, given where it's positioned on the inside of that final corner like that.
Yeah, it definitely is, and I've actually seen incidents there of people having to cut down their turning radius without giving too much away that they intend to pit, overcooking that entry, and I've seen spins right there on the pit entry. So very, very hazardous right here, and woo! Mike, speaking of hazardous, that's Sorensen getting a little bit loose right there again. This track is so treacherous, and it's one of those, it doesn't look like much on paper, but you got to get on those curbs. There's some awkward points of camber, and it tends to be a little on the greasy side. The temperature here on the track helping these drivers, but it's pretty slick around here, and these drivers are going to be fighting traction for the next 50 minutes.
We've seen the opposite as well into pit lane as well, haven't we, of slowing down, well, not slowing down too much, but the driver behind not realising what's happening in front of them and just running over the driver in front as they're slowing down to try and come into pit lane and make that slightly tighter radius corner to the inside in the pit stop. And you know, it's such a thing worth highlighting in this group especially, because everybody's so close. Now actually it's the case now for the top 8. You see Bjorklund's doing a job of getting himself back in the fray, but Sotero's not that far behind. James Barry as well, after qualifying outside the top 10, is on his way up here. So it's starting to become a very large group now. There is Barry and Sotero just at the back of the group. Gullikson and Bremer are next. A bit surprising to see Gullikson down in 9th at the moment. You might expect to see him a little bit higher. The man 3rd place in the championship coming into today. If he finishes too low down, he'll end up taking a drop score from this race if he's not too careful. I think this would actually become a drop score if he were to finish in 9th place. He's finished down here before. His worst result of the season so far was the 3rd round of the championship back at Suzuka, all the way back in April, middle of April. So Gullikson will hope to go a little bit better in the second half of this race, but just about 11 minutes in, and there in the background is Serrano again. He seems to have gotten away without too much trouble here, because as he comes into shot, here they are. Yeah, he's still going okay, although quite a few seconds behind Benson, it must be said, the AM leader.
I'll tell you, this slipstream on that long back straightaway going to work here for sure, Ewan. As you pointed out, the top 8 cars, the longest interval is about 7/10, so quite a train forming up front. And when a train forms up front, that leads to conflict at that tough turn 6 hairpin. So we're not done with shedding radical body panels down there as we watch Tavarin lead Sorensen and the Lip brothers with Friedrich Bjorklund and Soltero coming up behind James Berry right there as well.
Yeah, Friedrich has definitely made a mistake, or maybe he just doesn't have the speed here as the teammates exchange the lead. Sorensen, Travain. Not sure whether Sorensen's saying I'm quicker than you, so please let me through, or what the situation is there. But Lasse Sorensen was such a big contender on Friday night broadcast here on RaceSpotTV, the 2100 GMT top split race from the Radical Esports Cup. That's the official series on iRacing, with a lot of these guys racing. Lasse Sorensen was a big contender up towards the front, and clearly was one of those you want to look out for here in this race. Andre Castro not in this race, admittedly, because he is from the Americas region, so we'll look out for him in the Americas Championship, of course. But it seems to me that Sorensen's been allowed through because he's quicker. Maybe with that, we'll see whether that's proven to be correct or not in the next couple of moments, as Terrain is now the trailing driver.
Yeah, and these IGL coating drivers up front, Sorensen and Tavarin, do very well working together. Very likely that they're on comms right now. So if there was a pace discrepancy, maybe that Sorensen felt that he was quicker, they may have worked that out over comms, made a nice, smooth, easy switch of spots there in turn 6, and nobody's really lost any pace.
Good evening to Mats Gestenbakken, by the way, who says he's sadly out with the flu here today, but it's glad to see his IGL teammates delivering at the moment. Hope you get better soon and we can see you back for the final couple of rounds of the championship in October. Final rounds of the regular season anyway at Imola and Zandvoort. There goes Terrain, inside line on Lasse Sorensen, and he will go straight through, will Christopher Terrain, ahead of Sorensen. So maybe I'll readjust my comments, or have to, because Sorensen has not been sort of protesting to go through because he's quicker. Maybe they're just exchanging the lead between themselves as a tactic right now as well. I'm not entirely sure, but one thing that's certainly true is that that top 8 is closer than ever. 3 seconds now cover the first 8 drivers.
Yeah, those intervals coming down, although Friedrich beginning to stretch a little on Bjorklund, possibly separating that top 5, and Bjorklund needs to pedal here. The draft here is so strong, they're going to end up getting dropped. Oh, and there's a little change of position out in the back. I just saw my interval flash a little bit. There might have been Friedrich getting through.
Yeah, Friedrich getting past, and now he's into pit lane with Bjorklund. So not sure why Bjorklund worked so hard to get past and then just came in pit lane anyway, as Sorensen and Lip also come into the pit lane. 6 of the 8 down pit lane in one go, and have a look at this. This is the shot, isn't it, of the flashing of the lights here. Those that have saved a little bit of extra fuel have carried on a little bit further here, including Terrain and Soltero. Do they all hit their marks? It looks like they do, and now watch out for those pit stop times on the left hand side of the box. It is a very open thing, the amount of fuel that you can take in a stop. As Christoph Lipp jumps his brother, they take by far the shortest, although Gullikson takes a very short one to get involved. Friedrich gains some places with a short stop. James Barry ahead of Sorensen as well. That's an incredibly long stop from Lasse Sorensen, who drops right to the back of the group. Bjorklund's out of the group. His pit stop was so long.
Yeah, and another decision these drivers are making when they come in. 2 pit stops are required here, so you can go short and get track position out of your first pit stop. You can go long and get clean air, or split it 50-50. And I think we've seen different teams and drivers taking a different approaches from track to track. So we'll keep an eye on those pit stop times and see how they impact things down the stretch. But we'll certainly know that if you were in for a long time on the first one, you get a splash and dash at the end, which could make up positions for you down the stretch.
This is Benson versus Bjorklund, and this is exactly what Kim Andre Bjorklund does not need. Benson is not in his class and took a 9-second shorter pit stop. The problem when you take more fuel, it's not only the time you actually lose in the box, it's of course going out on a heavier car, which you're then against much lighter cars, and that becomes very, very difficult, even with drivers you're faster than. And so Benson could be a real problem for Bjorklund throughout this stint as Christopher Terrain comes into the pit lane now. Current net race leader is Christoph Lipp with Sebastian Lipp. Only 10 seconds in the box from them. Is Terrain going to respond? 12 seconds, 12.2. Now, does he get out quickly enough? It looks like he will do. It's going to be quite close on the rejoin here. And there he is. Terrain leads this race. He's taken a second and a half longer in the pit lane, more fuel on board, but he still leads, and that's the important thing. Although it may not be for too long, as Christoph Lipp is now right in this race. He's motoring now, and with that lighter fuel load, he might well try and strike straight away as Terrain is getting himself up to speed. Here comes Lipp. He's going to be on the inside through the parabolic, and Terrain doesn't protest too much. Here comes Christoph Lipp. It's going to be the race lead, is it, for the reigning champion? Or no? Outside line for Terrain. Right round the very tight hairpin, but Christoph Lipp is going to have the space, and he will cut in front. He will lead this race. And that is exactly what Christoph Lipp would have wanted. He's really gained some places in these last few moments.
Wow, that was crazy. And that is what, to very good, and lots of that position right away into the arena complex. Not sure what happened there, but Tavarin back in the lead after Christoph makes the easy pass into the hairpin.
Yeah, and Terrain dove it deep on the brakes in front of the Mercedes grandstand again to retake the lead. So these guys are battling now. A bit of disagreement on who should lead this group. And this, don't forget, only helps Terrain. He has a shorter second pit stop to take, and so he'll be absolutely fine with this. The only thing this does allow is the likes of Havard Gullickson and some of his other teammates to close in on his non-teammates, because, of course, those that pitted longer first time round will have a shorter second pit stop.
Yeah, and Tavarin here potentially falling into the clutches of these Lip brothers, similar to what happened to Christoph earlier with the two IGL coatings cars working together. Christopher could find himself in the same position here, as both of them are all over him here. He could be in a Lip sandwich here by the end of this long trip down the Parabolica. We'll keep an eye on Lip, see what he decides to do this time. No sign of defense from Tavarin yet as Lip reels him in. Look at that interval drop, and Lip is going to take a look down the inside.
There he goes again. This is exactly what happened last time. Terrain, though, was behind and single file by the exit of the corner, and there you go, same exact thing happening again. It's almost like a replay of this battle. Will Terrain make it a complete replay by passing again? He will. Look at this. Oh no, he's not quite late enough on the brakes this time. He was actually too late on the brakes at turn 8, but Lip didn't really punish him for it. So Christoph Lip now leads, and that's a more cordial exchange of the lead between these two. But they're not in total agreement as to who should be leading this field at the moment. Anyway, they're not quite working together as you might expect.
Yeah, Tavarin getting an incredible drive out of that hairpin on the outside line. We've seen him do it 2 laps in a row there. You would normally think that if you were beaten on the inside there, you would not have that exit available to you. But Tavarin showing that he has practiced that and getting an excellent drive out of turn 6. And last time around was able to make hay in turn 7 out of that, but not this time.
Well, let's see what happens down to the hairpin this time. There may well be just an exchange again. That group for 9th seems to be a bit more, or 8th as it is actually, seems to be a bit more like what we were seeing earlier. Although it doesn't contain the same names, they're a little bit further down. The names who were up the front before included there include Bjorklund, Soltero, and that's it. Bramer was on the fringes of the top 8 earlier. The others are sort of midfield drivers really, or have been at least in this race so far. The group most recognisable from the leaders earlier is Friedrich, Barry and Sorensen battling for 5th place as Benson is being overtaken by Oscar Soltero here. Down the inside for Soltero. Oh, and the very late he's up alongside Bjorklund. Well, that was a bit of an accident, but he got down the inside of Kimonte Bjorklund as well. In the end, Soltero doesn't actually force the issue there as Sorensen slows. Now, there's been trouble in that group, it looks like, with Barry and Friedrich and Sorensen, because Lasse Sorensen's slow. Oh, it's slowing. It's coming to a stop here. He's coming to a stop as George Gonzaga goes wide, and Lasse Sorensen comes to a complete stop in front of the Mercedes grandstand, and he's gone. Oh my goodness, a big contender for a win on Friday night. He is gone here from this race on Sunday, and that's a big hit in the championship for Lasse Sorensen. 13th place coming into today, really sort of on the fringes of getting in the top 7 in the World Finals or having to go through the qualifier. After tonight, he'll be looking over his shoulder that he'll even be in the qualifier, given his championship situation. Let's see how it happened. It just seems to be a slowing. There doesn't seem to be too much visibly wrong with that car.
I'm shocked. I don't even know what to say about that. Sorensen must have had some kind of mechanical problem, connection problem, something. You see him parked there in front of that Jim Clark Memorial here at Hockenheim, and he has checked out. So what a turn of events for Lasse Sorensen. Joins Gabriel Berger as withdrawn from this one. Meanwhile, up front, it's still Lip from Tavarin from Lip. And those 3 cars have stuck together and driven away, and they have dropped Havard Gullickson now to the tune of about 6 seconds. So your podium fight has driven off, and there they are.
Well, are we looking at the podium fight at the end of the race? I actually thought these guys were going to be brought back again by that group with Sorensen and Barry and Friedrich in, but maybe not anymore. Maybe it is these 3. And, it's just an underscoring again, isn't it, that, especially Christoph Lip, but Sebastian Lip as well, in fairness, they're both very, very good on the strategy. Maybe not always the paciest in the field. I mean, Christoph Lip very often is, but Sebastian Lip especially. And again, they've strategized their way so well into this position where they're 2 against 1, effectively, at the front of this race.
Yeah, they have done very, very well, and that's something that has changed from this season compared to last season. They added these fuel stops, 2 mandatory fuel stops, which adds a whole other layer of strategy, and those Lipp brothers have made that work out for them. And we'll take a quick look at Eric Benson with a shout out for him. He's running in P9 into the top 10 now. And that is P1 and AM with about a 10-second gap ahead of the season leader, Luke Crowley. So Benson turning in a hell of a drive today, and probably owes Pablo Serrano a cup of coffee after taking Crowley out.
Well, yeah. Crowley down in 15th at the moment, 10 seconds behind Benson. Benson stopped 10 seconds. Crowley's was 18, so might not be as clear as we think at the moment, but it never quite works out as we expect. Kyriakopoulos down the inside into 9th ahead of Eric Benson. So at the moment, and this is why it is a problem for Benson, he's in amongst drivers who are faster than him, and yes, that is sometimes a good thing. They can drag you along a little bit, but he's been overtaken 4 times since the pit stop, and when you're overtaken, effectively you're just giving up free ground without really getting anything back for it, as Friedrich slides there. It's not good news for Benson that he's in this group, unless he can finally get himself to the back of it as Bramer gets past him, and then finally hope to see the pace benefit. But at the moment, there's not much pace benefit, and there's just being overtaken. That's all he's getting from this group at the moment.
Yeah, and you saw right there, Benson maybe over-driving slightly in his efforts to stay up with Kyriakopoulos and take advantage of that draft. I know that he's aware of what the gap is behind him, which is remaining, admittedly, around 10 seconds. But very good point. Benson kind of driving up out of his range right now, and needs to make something positive out of it, because Crowley and Serrano are right there, and depending on how these fuel loads go, could have something for him toward the end here.
And we'll wait and see as even Bramer gets past Benson. I mentioned it would happen, but it's not the place he would have liked it to happen, I must admit. Now side by side, and Bramer sort of stuck on the outside here through the parabolica. This is completely unideal for them both. It's in the foreground. Björklund and Friedrich battle away. Bramer will get through into the top 10 there down the inside at the hairpin ahead of Benson, who will now hope that that is over and that the overtaking can stop. But the gap's down to 8 seconds now to Crowley. And if their pit stop times reverse second time round, then Crowley's going to be right with him. Meanwhile, Björklund, Friedrich, Soltero all side by side, and Friedrich loses 2 places in 1. Björklund got through into the hairpin, and Soltero follows through in front of the Mercedes grandstand at turn 8.
Yeah, and a second little train forming right there. Björklund from Soltero, from Friedrich, and there's somebody going wide back there, and that is not going to be good for Friedrich's lap time. I'm not sure if you can get a slowdown out there, but didn't really need one as he dropped a couple of positions, going wide into the kitty litter right there, and not the way that Friedrich wanted things to go. Right now, he's got about 7 tenths back up to Benson, who he just had to work some to get through, and now he's back behind.
Oh, he got very loose there, did Friedrich. Had to lock it down in the gravel to avoid going all the way round, at which point he could have been T-boned, to be honest, by one of the oncoming drivers. But it's allowed Björklund and Soltero to get clear of this group as well, and maybe it will start to increase the pace in this group. It's been a bit of a difficult group to be in for a lot of these names so far. And you just wonder now whether they're clear and they should be good as you come into the hairpin now. Oh, well, in the background, Friedrich has not seen it come to an end yet. Alexander Tofton-Skurrit is now coming down the inside and is through into 11th place. So, like this group's battling is never going to end. Normally the middle part of the race is the quiet part as everybody's saving fuel or whatever.
Yeah, and as tends to happen on these tracks with long straightaways, these cars are training up, and each one of these trains, people want to be in the front. So we're kind of getting nonstop fighting in different sections of the field. And up front, of course, that's Lipp from Tavarin from Lipp, but then a huge gap back to Havard Gullikson of 6 seconds, and Barry about 4 seconds behind him. So those two guys on an island, and then we get that train with Björklund from Soltero, from Kyriakopoulos, and another train behind him. So the action happening right now about I'm going to say P6 to P11 or so is where all the fighting is taking place.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, you could maybe a stretch to say a few more even below that are involved as well. It's a big group at the moment as Soltero and Bjorklund try and get away from it. I understand why they want to as well, really, given the battling going on behind. On the power for Soltero, who is definitely close enough to make a move here if he wants to. On the way down towards turn 6 with the left-hander. No, there you go. Just turn it there. There again. He's lifting off there, Soltero. So he's putting his trust in Bjorklund. He knows that if he goes through here, he can drag them into a battle that would drag them back into that group behind them again. And there's a benefit to staying behind as well, of course, with the added fuel save that he's going to get there.
Yeah, and a little body language there showing that driver in front that he's not going to try to pass. Don't defend. Let's go nose to tail, work together, and get away from this train behind and get a little bit of a breather, because nobody wants Denis Kyriakopoulos, Bremer, and Benson breathing down their neck, and they'd be better off to get away and save the fighting for later.
A good evening as well to Katil Larsen, who has dropped into YouTube chat as well. Unfortunately not racing tonight either. Says he's been in a motorcycle accident and broken some ribs in his shoulder. He says hope to be back next race. Well, I hope you get better soon there as well. Only, 4 weeks until the next race. Not sure how quickly you can sim race after that kind of thing happening, but yeah, that sounds very serious. James Barry, meantime, is having something strange going on. Some strange things happening today, aren't there? Lasse Sorensen earlier slowing down for no reason. James... Oh, no, oh, what's happening here? He's got no control of that car. James Barry's got no control of that car and he can't turn left. James Barry can't turn left because his front left's not rotating. I wondered whether the front left was going down, whether it was properly down. Collapsed suspension. Looks like he's tried to take somebody out, but I don't think he can turn left or indeed brake. And he's just gone straight across the circuit there. Even Bremer, unfortunately, has been really affected by that. And he's dropped down as well, which is very unfortunate for Bremer. But James Barry looked like he had damage to that car, and another bit of a mystery incident there.
Another one, and strange things afoot here at Hockenheim. We'll go back and take a look at Barry here. And he's already... That front wheel is locked up. You do see his hands turning the steering wheel. But gosh, wow, I mean, that almost looked like a stuck throttle to me or some other kind of mechanical situation like that. We'll watch him here. Oh, wait a minute. Doink. Busted suspension. And that is the explanation. Just going back a little bit further.
So, he's trying to turn in there. Let's see if we can stay on board here and just listen in to what was going on down towards turn 2. Weird one, really. I mean,
yeah,
surely would have realised.
Barry threading the needle there. That could have been a lot worse than it was. Barry able to find a gap there. Obviously, no steering control and no brakes right there after picking up some wall damage. So Barry will join the growing list of people parking it in the pits, joining Bremer, Sorensen, and Gabriel Berger in what has turned out to be a rough and tumble run at Hockenheim.
Matt says that Lasse also crashed, so we'll try and see before he came to a stop there in a mystery incident. So we'll see if we can go back far enough for that as well. But it was quite a long time ago now. Eric Benson into the pit lane, 20 seconds, pretty much maximum. So that should be his final stop of the day. You can see why Benson wanted to pit, really, because despite the unconventional strategy there. Because he's been caught in that big group before, and there's been incidents, accidents. He keeps getting overtaken in that group as well, and finally you can see why he's just sick of it and wants, even though with a really heavy car, which he'll now have, but he can go to the end and he can get in some clean air for once as well.
Yeah, and with this second pit stop out of the way, I'm showing him about 25 seconds back of Crowley. So I think that his P1 is probably going to be safe after the rest of the pit cycles, but we will see. And I'll tell you, as a driver, I do like having the option of having big pit windows. So if something is happening on track that you don't like, that you're not comfortable with, you have an escape route. And we saw Benson take it there.
Both Sebastian and Christoph Lipp decide to come in pretty early as well. It's a brave call from them. I'm not sure I would have picked this myself, but it'll be nearly a full stop for them. And out they go. Christoph Lipp out in front of Sebastian Lipp, as Andreas Friedrich also draws to a stop. There is James Barry in the background, by the way, still not coming in. Christoph Lipp has distanced his teammate now. I know there was a car between them before, and there was about a second between them before, but his pit stop was a bit shorter. He's properly out in front of him now, and that's sealed with Luke Crowley going past. Crowley won't really want any part of this, to be honest, and Sebastian Lipp will want to get past him as quickly as possible as well. Here he comes looking down the inside into 10th. Sebastian Lipp moves up ahead of Crowley, but I think that gap now is consolidated, and Christoph Lipp is might be on his own in the lead, but he certainly won't be in a group with Sebastian Lipp anymore.
And both Lips that time, 17 seconds stationary again. So it looks like they split that fuel load 50-50. Oh my goodness. That's one of the fun parts of Hockenheim, is pushing the boundaries right there. Believe it or not, that is not an off. They give you a little bit of dirt right there, entering that part of Mobile One and the Mobile One corner there into that interior section. Very, very exciting spot, and another one of the features around here. Like I said, it looks simple on paper, but there are a lot of little traps like that that you have to play near and play well with to be successful here and get those fast lap times. And you saw those drivers hanging it all out right there.
Havik Gullikson also comes in. We'll see whether he's anywhere near Christoph or Sebastian Lipp, but the answer is no. His second pit stop needs to be longer than theirs, and so the gap that he had will only be exaggerated now on the exit of pit lane. Sotero with Bjorklund behind again, and Kyriakopoulos behind. What a great drive from him, just ghosting his way through the field without really causing too much of a ruckus. He's up the inside is Bjorklund and through on Soltero. So that's second place now with 25 minutes to go. A long, long way off the leaders, but don't forget, these guys can go quite a lot longer on fuel yet. It's the others who've been deciding to pit early.
Yeah, and Denis keeping it clean. He's joined up with that train. That is Bjorklund from Soltero, from Kyriakopoulos. They're all kind of hanging together, running 2 through 4 currently. They all are going to owe pit stops, but nothing wrong with getting in a comfortable group, ticking off some laps, and staying out of trouble. It's working out for these guys so far.
It's Christopher Terrain into pit lane as well. So this is the moment for the race. Now this is Lasse Sorensen. This is why he's out of contention. We saw him come to a stop, and there's the contact. There you go. So front left damage after contact down at the hairpin, and that's why Lasse Sorensen is now out of this race as well. And you can see the front end damage. You can see him already slow as he was coming out onto the circuit again. Terrain is over 20 seconds in the lane. This is a long stop for Christopher Terrain. Has he sped on pit lane maybe? This has allowed Christoph Lipp to get a very big lead now. Christopher Terrain might have made a catastrophic error here. Over 30 seconds in pit lane. Oh my word. This is the end of his chances to win this race. Christoph and Sebastian Lipp are going to be clear 1 and 2 by a long way.
Wow, unbelievable. And Tavarin still stationary in the pits. And I'll tell you what, you in that car looked a little high to me, almost as if it were on jack. So Tavarin might have made the mistake of failing to clear his tires. We've seen that happen just a handful of times in this series, but very, very costly. Tires go on one at a time after fuel, and Tavarin 56 seconds in the pits. That's a full 40 seconds more than anybody around him, and that is going to cost him as he falls all the way to P14. Ouch.
It does seem about the right amount of time for it to be, but also could be a speeding penalty. It's both the right amount of time, so we'll see which of it was, as Kyriakopoulos comes into pit lane as well from the third place in the race. Very early stops today, for the final stops, that is. 23 minutes to go, and we've got most of them in for the second time so far. Still waiting for the top 5, as it will become, to come in, along with Crowley and Serrano, De Graaf and Greg further behind to come in as well. But there's Kyriakopoulos coming to a stop, flashing lights as well. This battle for the lead continues. Soltero, it is for the lead right now. Soltero pushing Bjorklund almost through the parabolica, through a turn, which makes you a little bit nervous. Makes me nervous. coming into the hairpin. And Bjorklund's able to keep the lead, but I wonder how long they'll leave it now, because everybody else seems very impatient to make the last stop.
Yeah, and nobody likes it, tattletale, but bump drafting not permitted under the league rules there. So somebody's going to have to tell Soltero to back out of that next opportunity he gets, or he could end up with a penalty for both. But we got to expect Bjorklund and Soltero to come in here before too much longer. 22 minutes remaining, and they're both owing pit stops along with Scarrett, Gonzaga, and Rudolf Nagel. Looks like Crowley hasn't been in yet either.
Yep, he hasn't. Oh, big slide out of... Look at that. Huge slides coming out of the Sachs curve there for Soltero. Seems to be struggling on the rear tyres. I mean, generally, you don't change tyres in these radicals the whole way through, and that's just how it is. But quite a long hour to go around this circuit, with an increasing track temperature as well. It's gone up 5 degrees Fahrenheit and 2 degrees Celsius ever since we started this race, and Soltero might not have been taking the best care of his tyres based on how they look there.
Yeah, you definitely do have to take care of the tires. Changing them really not feasible, but there are a number of spots on this track. As I said, Hockenheim a little greasy even under the best of circumstances. There's a lot of spots on this track, low speed corners, where you can be unjudicious, let's say, on the throttle and spin up those rears and go through the rears very quickly. And you may be seeing some evidence of that there with Soltero, as he really seems to be fighting to keep that car pointed down the track.
Just needs to calm down in the next couple of moments here and just take it cool for a couple of moments before pushing on again properly. It's top four still yet to come in here. Even Rudolf Nagel, who is about to be caught by Christoph Lipp despite the extra stop being made. It's because Nagel had a very long first stop. And he's been a bit further down the field anyway after his spin at the hairpin. See whether there's any post-race investigations or so going into that hairpin incident there, and if there is, then there might be some investigations about a lot going on so far in this race. There's been plenty of incident and accident in this first 2/3, final 20 minutes coming up and starting just right now. They'll hit it just as they're crossing the line there. So 20 minutes to go, final third of the race, and yeah, plenty for race control to maybe have a look at after the race so far.
Oh, for sure. And quite a bit of banging, which is not unusual. I will say what is unusual is we see that looks like Craig trying to stick it underneath de Graaf there into the hairpin, and does that successfully. We see some rubbing, we see some banging in these radicals, but the unusual thing to me, Ewan, is the catastrophic results of some of this contact. These cars generally pretty tough, and you have to get kind of unlucky, hit a wheel just right to have these suspension failures that we've seen a couple drivers suffer here. So very odd and kind of unlucky race for several folks here this afternoon.
Yeah, that is true. But you can't just pop in the pit lane and get it repaired very easily. You've got to do it properly in this series, and sadly that's been the demise for quite a few names further down the field here today. James Barry, who's only fourth in the standings, but should make it to the World Finals straight in. Ivan Bremer, who is just outside of the last chance qualifiers for the World Finals places, 16th at the moment. And Lasse Sorensen as well, they'll be a bit nervous, because George Gonzaga will definitely get ahead of him based on tonight. Of course, drop rounds pending, obviously, but Gonzaga should get ahead of him. Kira Akopoulos might well get ahead of him as well, and that would be outside of the top 14. And for a driver of Sorensen's quality, you'd expect him to make at least the last chance qualifiers, if not straight in through the top 7, but not been his best season so far in the European Championship.
Yeah, it hasn't, and luck giveth and luck taketh away, and definitely biting Sorensen there. And my gosh, these guys, they got to be running on fumes at this point. Bjorklund and Soltero, their first pit stops 19 and 20 seconds, so nothing extremely long, but they are still out there putting down laps, and they're well clear of Nagel behind about 10 seconds, and the Lips are right behind them, so obviously they'll be way out of the lead once they do go in, but they're definitely making the most out of the fuel that they picked up the last time through.
There's the biggest movers and shakers as well on the left-hand side, by the way. Serrano up 13 so far. Is the one with the most games. Eric Benson still the net race leader in the AM class because Serrano and Crowley haven't made their final stops yet. The AM battle might well be a more interesting one than the pro battle, to be honest, the overall fight. There is Benson. He's finally got his wish of driving on his own, and now this little run that he's stringing together here, these final few laps that he's stringing together, yes, he's on higher fuel load than what Crowley is, and Crowley's been in the clear air for quite a long time and will take a shorter pit stop than Benson just did. But nevertheless, Benson, I think, should still just about get in the lead, although maybe closer than we realise, given the dominance of Benson so far. He's not had things go his own way because he's been involved in that huge battle earlier on, that huge group that really didn't help him.
Yeah, we should have a resolution to that situation fairly shortly, as Crowley and Serrano still both owing pit stops, and it looks like Serrano may be stopping now. And a quick shout out, talking about hard chargers, to the 702 car of Alexander Scarrett. We highlighted some other folks that had some big numbers, but those folks owed pit stops. Scarrett does not, and he is up 8 positions throughout this one. So Scarrett quietly putting in a very good drive and making hay there up in the top 10. Whoa, and there goes Malice.
Oh dear me. Big slide and a spin for Mellis. Through on the grass. Just slowed down to let Benson through, actually. Oh dear. Grass on his tyres and goes for a spin now as well. Another one. Mellis already a lap down. Goes a lap down to a few more drivers as well before pulling into, maybe didn't pull into pit lane. But Kyriakopoulos, meantime, gets past Alexander Scarrett for 8th place. Just in behind these 2 leaders. There they are, actually still side by side here. Thought Kyriakopoulos was straight through there, but not quite. These two have both made their final stop of the day, so this is a legitimate fight for position with just about 15 minutes to go from the Hockenheim. And it is Kyriakopoulos who gets in front of the RGO Coatings driver without too much trouble in the end. And so he runs 8th, but that will be a better position later for these two, as they've stayed out of trouble really, and they're just waiting for a few more to come in pit lane.
Yeah, really, both of these drivers putting in very solid drives, and they're going to be sniffing around, if not in the top 5 by the time this one's over. 45 minutes in now, 15 to go, and I keep waiting for some of these cars to run out of fuel, and nothing yet. There goes Crowley, by the way, for you fans of Benson wondering how his position is going to turn out. Crowley has now gone into the pits, and where is Serrano? Still out, but Crowley pitting, and he was the one closest to Benson, so we'll keep an eye on him and where he comes out in terms of his pit exit.
This is Serrano a few moments ago. I wonder why he was so close to Benson, and that's a tiny bit of contact. And he spins around again to the infield there of the arena at the final part of this lap. Oh dear. All over the place, that car at the moment. So Crowley does get in front, comfortably so as well. So I know we've been saying it again and again, but actually the time that Benson lost in that exchange was even more than I realised. I thought it was a lot, but it's turned out to be a huge amount of time. As Friedrich now goes for a spin out the hairpin. He's so far off the circuit, the camera didn't even see him there. But he is spun out of the hairpin, and there he is in the background, facing the right way again. But Crowley's in the top 10 overall here, and he's miles in front of Benson and Serrano, and the championship leader in the AM class is going to be on his way to another class victory by the looks of things here.
Yeah, a hell of a drive there by Crowley after getting turned and potentially taking damage. It looked like he had a huge hole to dig himself out of, which he did, but he has done it. He's got about a 5-second lead on Benson, and their fast laps, Ewan, not that far apart, within a couple of tenths. So it's not a situation where Benson was out front solely because of incidents. He was putting some times in, but Crowley coming up where it counts down the stretch, and a great drive by him.
Well, Chauvain going for a spin here. Just goes from bad to worse for him, the former race leader. Now down in 14th place. He'll get to 13th after Friedrich comes into pit lane. He's popped up on the top of our screen there, Friedrich. I wonder whether he's got some sort of penalty or... black flag, there we go. Black flag for Andreas Friedrich. just to rub salt in that very open wound there, unfortunately for him. And he drops behind Terrain now in live pictures. Terrain up to 13th. There goes Crowley, battling with Gonzaga. And I wonder how much he's going to really take for this, because both of these two will need the points. Well, arguably Gonzaga more than Crowley. Gonzaga looks to secure a place in the last chance qualifiers for the World Finals in November. Crowley looks to just secure the AM victory. And if he stays behind Gonzaga, he should be able to do that.
Yeah, he should, and it looks like he let George through there as well. He should, keeping an eye on the bigger picture, keeping the bigger picture in mind. And Serrano ahead of Benson as well. And isn't that interesting? Well, Serrano still owes a pit stop, so he's not actually in there. But so it's going to be Crowley and Benson 1-2 if things stand as they are. And Serrano may get out ahead of Craig, maybe not. But the Hockenheim has been very hard on these drivers, and we usually see very smooth and professional outings by this group. But it's a very challenging circuit and very difficult to master, and you're seeing why.
Yeah, so absolutely. No, it just shows as well that there isn't another reason I like these races, that it provides us so much more depth than what you see in the officials series. The officials racing that we get on Fridays is always a lot of fun to watch, and it's a bit of a mad dash for half an hour. That's fine, but these are much more considered races. The better drivers always rise to the top in these hour-long races. And, they with the fuel strategy as well, they do tend to be better races in that sense over the course of an hour-long distance as well. You can, I don't want to say that anybody this season in the Fridays has fluked a race win, but, there's absolutely no fluking a win over the course of an hour with so much strategy with these guys in these races.
Yeah, absolutely true. And let's see what's going on up front. Yeah, we still have Bjorklund and Soltero up front for the time being, or is that them coming in right now? Yeah, that is Bjorklund in pit lane, and it looks like Soltero will continue, so he gets to cross start finish as the race leader for at least one lap. But the Lips there laying in wait for Soltero to go through the pit lane and maintain their 10-second lead ahead of Havard Gullikson, who is on an island himself with about 7 seconds back to Kyriakopoulos. So not a lot of drama here down the stretch, unless you consider what kind of negotiation might be going on between the brothers Lip, who is going to take the checker. But for right now, they're cooperating, hanging together, and getting their work done.
I don't know if you've got a brother, but we wouldn't certainly be getting an agreement together for the race win. We'd be battling out seriously. Christoph Lip lets Sebastian Lip through for the moment. You wonder how much longer that's going to last for. On a serious note, though, I actually don't know whether they're going to come to an agreement between each other or whether Christoph's going to let Sebastian win here, because Christoph Lip is going to lead this championship at the end of tonight by at least 60 points, with Gullikson probably moving up to second, but it will still be up probably over 70 actually, even if he finishes second. So Sebastian Lip being in 6th place needs the points more, arguably, and I just wonder whether they're going to consider that or whether they're going to fight it out between themselves.
Yeah, interesting to see, and we have seen these two duke it out before. Definitely have seen them duke it out in those Friday 2100 GMT top split races, but a little less at stake in those. And we've talked to them a little bit about, whether they're letting it off the chain when they're fighting on Fridays, and they definitely do. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're taking into account those needs of points that you just discussed, and going to let Sebastian collect as many as he can while it's easy to do with no pressure from behind.
There's Crowley and Gonzaga as well, who are battling away, perhaps when they otherwise might not be, or should not be. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Just over 7 seconds is the gap for Crowley now, and this is a very strong lead that he has. It's been a very strong drive, in fact. He's not won since round 2, but he won the first 2 rounds in a row. He's been leading the championship right from start to finish. It looks like it's going to be... Oh, and that's a slide from Trotten Scarrett into turn 2. Rudolf Nagel will come straight round the outside, and look at this from Nagel, up to 7th place. What a great recovery drive if he can get this done now, as Sebastian Lip and Christoph Lip also go side by side. Suddenly in the final 10 minutes, it's all happening again here at this circuit. Nagel on the inside line of Trotten Scarrett here into the hairpin. Oh, he dives very late there, and he does get for he dives for the apex late. and he gets 7th place. Christoph Lipp, meanwhile, gets the lead back from Sebastian Lipp, but he's not that far in front. There he goes. That was a long battle. Maybe these two have decided, well, we've got 10 seconds, let's use them and fight it out amongst ourselves.
You're right about Nagel. What? Oh my goodness, almost contact there. What a recovery drive by Nagel. We saw him off facing the wrong direction, I think twice in this one. And for him to push back that deep into the top 10, excellent drive and way to keep your head down. And there's a lesson in that, kids. Keep going. No matter how bad things seem, it could always turn around in a hurry, especially at a track like this, as those Lips now running up front with a very tight gap between. We're going to see another passing opportunity here off of Parabolica. And what's going to happen this time? This could get spicy down the stretch.
Yeah, absolutely could. Christoph Lipp all the way around the right-hand side and now cuts back to the inside here as he tries to break the slipstream from Sebastian Lipp, who would have to do a late one, and he's going to. Late on the brakes, but not quite late enough. Christoph Lipp on the normal line was very late himself, and there was a little bit of a bump as they came out of the hairpin as well. That is a sign on this circuit that, you know, it's not like Fuji where you're almost guaranteed to make the pass into turn 1 if you're at that kind of distance. It's not like that at the Hockenheimring. You've got to properly work for these moves around here, and you can defend from the front, and that's what the current championship leader will be hoping to do.
Yeah, and that Fuji hairpin, there's about 17 lines through there, and you can easily go through 2 and 3 abreast. Not the case at all here. It's very, very tight, almost full lock to even get the car pointed down the track after that one. So very challenging, and you can see why Sebastian elected not to try to poke it all the way down in there. But he's going to have a couple more cracks here, about 6 minutes remaining. So probably... gosh, I don't know, 4 or 5 laps left in this one, and got to think about the big picture. Got to think about your tire wear. But these two Lips kind of playing and having a good time out here at this point in the race.
Still not sure on the collective noun for them both. Doesn't seem right, does it? Saying 2 Lips like that. But anyway, we'll think about it. Out onto the back straight again on the Parabolica. As you pointed out earlier, it's not really a straight at all, and it does create a bit of a difference in racing compared to what you normally see. It does create a bit of interest as Christoph Lipp indeed stays to the inside here, and Sebastian Lipp tries to just drive around him. Lipp on the inside, braking very late, and Sebastian just goes for the cutback this time round. Much better as well. Oh, he nearly spins. That was so close. You saw the puff of smoke there as he locked it down, trying to prevent it from going all the way round. 7/10 of a second, 5 minutes to go. This is Christoph's chance to run away from his brother and try and put a distance that would allow him to win this race, but as they get settled in again, it's not happening. 5/6 of a second, it is staying as it was.
Yeah, and let there be no doubt now, they are fighting. Sebastian clearly setting up the over-under right there early on the throttle, almost losing it there a little too early. But yeah, these guys are fighting for this one. They're not planning. They're not strategizing. They are racing, and racing on a beautiful day at a beautiful track. I'm a little jealous, Ewan, that we're not out there. We probably wouldn't be up at the front, but sure looks like this is a good time being had by all out here.
4 minutes to go means 3 laps for this, by the way. Ooh. I mean, quite apart from the fact it was quite close to contact, Sebastian Lipp very nearly spun all the way around there and probably would have lost a podium. Well, maybe not that much, but Soltero's not that far behind, just less than 10 seconds. With Björklund and Gulliksen close in attendance, they're not quite racing each other, but they're not far apart, a little bit further down. It might mean that Sebastian can't get through for a lap or so here, although maybe not. So as Christoph Lipp here forced on the defensive again. Inside line. Is it a carbon copy? As Christoph breaks a little bit earlier this time. He doesn't want to allow himself and open himself up to the cutback, but it's almost a replay. This time, though, Sebastian Lipp gets on the power a lot nicer coming out of the hairpin. Now in towards the turn 8 and the Mercedes grandstand. Going to be a look from Sebastian Lipp. There he goes, inside line, but oh, is he brave enough there? He's just backing away just as they get to the apex, and Christoph round the outside will keep the place again. Sebastian with a better run through the right-hander. Is there going to be a run into the final the stadium section? No. Again, it will be 2 laps to go, and Christoph Lipp will continue to lead.
Oh, I really wanted to see a move right there. It is doable. We haven't seen it yet here today. Very, very risky, but the red mist is going right now for Sebastian. He wants that P1. He has maybe 2, possibly 3 laps here to get it done, and we're not going to leave this one anytime soon, folks. This is why we watch these radical races. This is why we love to call them. This is why we broadcast them for you on RaceSpot. Buckle up. We're getting to get hot here down the stretch.
Here we go again into turn 2. Just over 2 minutes to go and 2 laps to go, including the one they've just begun. We know who the AMP winner is going to be. Luke Crowley should hold on from here to the finish now, ahead of Eric Benson. But who's going to win in the pros? The brothers have not reached an agreement yet. They're fighting for this race win. And finally, for the first time in a while, Christoph Lipp doesn't defend the inside. Sebastian allowed the inside line. And I wonder whether that was tactical. Is Christoph letting Sebastian through on the penultimate lap so he can take it back away on the white flag?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that is something that we definitely see with the strong slipstream in these cars. And now Sebastian trying the outside here through the Mercedes grandstand area and gets it done there. What a move by Sebastian. I'm going to need to see that again.
Oh, that was close. Very close to contact between the two of them. And Christoph Lipp now has got to figure something out coming towards this last lap of the race. He tried to go back at turn 8. I don't think it was a tactical thing, like I said at the time. He wanted to get that place back again, but couldn't do it. Now he's got one more lap to try as they come through the final couple of corners. It is now or never for Christoph Lipp if he wants to win again as they go on to the final lap.
Yeah, and the crowd's going to be on their feet down at the hairpin. Look at that interval, very close. It's under 0.4 now, and it's definitely going to be within drafting distance when they get back onto the Parabolica. And this one not over, folks. Right now it's Sebastian from Christoph, but how is this lap going to end? Hang on, we're going to find out in a minute.
Christoph Lipp has won 4 times already in 7 races in the 2025 Radical Sim Racing European Championship, He's looking for 3 in a row tonight and 5 for the season, but he's got to pass his brother to do it. Here he comes in the slipstream. He's not as close as Sebastian has been when he was trailing, but he's very late on the brakes, is Christoph. Into the hairpin. He was strong round here last time round, and Sebastian forced to give him some space on the outside as well, although he's only just got the overlap. Now he'll get the inside in time for turn 8 as they come through the fast right-hander again. Here comes Christoph Lipp. He's just took him on the curb, and now he breaks late on the inside line. Round the outside for Sebastian Lipp, who keeps that position. He's got this race lead right now. Christoph Lipp not able to pass him on this last lap, not yet anyway. Into the stadium section. You very rarely see any moves made through here. Sebastian Lipp, the clear favourite. But will he hold on into the Sachs curve now? The biggest braking zone remaining. Into the hairpin, the bank curve. You've got to be very close through there. And he's not at the moment, Christoph Lipp. Final couple of corners. It would be a big lunge. Oh, and he has a look through the penultimate turn, but he doesn't do it. A bit wide from Sebastian Lipp as well. Onto the drag strip briefly, but the checker flag's in hand, and Sebastian Lipp's going to win from the Hockenheimring in a very close Radical Sim Racing European Championship finish. Sebastian Lipp wins for the first time in 2025. And Christoph Lipp's winning streak comes to an end at the expense of his brother in the 3rd last race of the season.
Wow, and what a showing. Who would have thought that these 2 Germans would defend their home turf like this? That was spectacular as we watch Crowley coming across, your amateur winner, on a great recovery drive. Had some problems early, kept his head down, and capitalized on his superior pace. And there is Crowley coming across to take P1 in the AMs.
Flash of the lights, a brief one, but Luke Crowley wins for the first time since round 2. Just to give you some context on how long that was ago, by the way, 23rd of March. It's been a very long time, 5.5 months since Luke Crowley's won in this series. He's been championship leader the whole way through, but he's won for the 3rd time now in 8 races. And that is a very, very impressive drive from Luke Crowley, who actually was nowhere near the front in the first stint of the race, and not really through the middle of the race either. But at the end, he'd worked out the strategy perfectly to keep quiet and to win all in one go, which is exactly the way to do it. Sebastian Lipp is the race winner, though, by 0.3 of a second ahead of Christoph Lipp, with Oscar Sotero joining them on the podium. He was 7th in the standings coming into today. He will have done himself a lot of favours with that. Kim Andre Björklund and Havik Gullikson round out the top 5 with Denis Kirakopoulos in 6th. Rudolf Nagel recovered from an opening lap spin to finish in a great 7th place. Got past Alexander Topham-Scarrett at the end. George Gonzaga held off Luke Crowley in the end. And Crowley, of course, our AM winner in 10th overall. 11th overall was Eric Benson, 2nd in the AM class. Pablo Serrano was 3rd in the AM class. Race leader earlier was Christopher Terrain. In between those two, Andres Friedrich and Sully Rettinen rounded out the top 15 with Robert Walker, Louis Gregg and Menno de Graaf on the lead lap. Stefan Mellis 1 down. James Barry retired alongside the likes of Lasse Sorensen, Ivan Bremer and Gabriel Berger, all retiring in the first half or around halfway in that race. Well, what a great finish that was between the two brothers, Christoph and Sebastian Lipp. And Christoph is already waiting for us, so we'll bring him in now. Christoph, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and congrats on such a great fight with your brother for the win there. We were speculating 20 minutes ago whether you might reach an agreement about who should win that race, but you didn't, and you put on a great show to battle for the win. Just tell us what that was like, fighting with Sebastian for the win.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was lots of fun. I mean, we saw that we have enough space to the people behind and that we're gonna be in 1 and 2, and so we decided to battle it out, and it was lots of fun. Of course, goal was not to hit each other, but we really went to the maximum both, and Sebastian deserves the win very much. He has great pace on this track. He had the pole, and I'm happy for him.
And how does it feel at the end of this race to sort of see your winning streak that could have come to 3 here tonight come to an end to your brother? I mean, are you just pleased to finish 1 and 2 amongst yourselves?
Yeah, exactly what I said. 1 and 2 is perfect, of course, for the team, and I think being on P2 for me personally is also more than enough. Having the rivals a little bit far behind. I don't know what happened to Christopher. Probably some penalty in the pits or something. But yeah, then P2 is more than enough for me for the championship.
Yeah, we think speeding in the pit lane to drop him down, and also think that your championship lead might well be over 70 points now, even despite that second place finish. So congratulations, Christoph, again on another good night, second place, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks so much, Christoph Lipp. Second place tonight so far. Sebastian Lipp has not joined us yet, so we'll carry on down the podium and chat to Oscar Soltero, who finishes in 3rd. Oscar, welcome in. Good to have you with us. In the first part of that race, I must admit, we didn't see too much of you, but you suddenly came right into view as you were battling away for the podium. Just tell us how you navigated those first few laps of the race to put yourself in a position to get this 3rd place result tonight.
Well, good night, guys. Well, the first few laps were I just tried to find a spot where I was comfortable, and where I could try to save as much fuel as I could, and yeah, except the first few corners where I always try to be aggressive because that's of course the easiest part of the race where you can win places. And yeah, there was a crash ahead of me on the hairpin. So that helped me win a few places. But yeah, the first few laps, except the first corners, I just tried to stay calm and yeah, I say fuel.
And how big is this for your season as well, the result itself, getting a podium finish? Because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first one since the first round of the season for yourself. You won't gain any places in the championship, but you'll distance those behind you significantly to the tune of about 40 points now. How significant is this result for your season with 2 rounds to go?
Well, it's great, of course. The goal from the start was to qualify was to get the direct qualifying to the World Finals. So if I'm correct, I'm P7 right now. So yeah, it's great to get that distance and to get this bunch of points facing the last few rounds.
Yeah, I think 40 points ahead of 8th in 7th place, if I'm correct. So congratulations on a great result tonight, Oscar, and thanks for chatting to us at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, thank you guys. Good night.
Thanks very much, Oscar Soltero, chatting to us at the end of his 3rd place finish tonight from the Hockenheimring. And Luke Crowley is a winner for the first time since March in the AM Championship. Luke, welcome in and congrats on winning the class this time around. Again, a bit like Oscar, who finished 3rd overall. You were quite away from our screens in the first part of the race, but slowly working your way up and eventually leading by quite a way after the final stops of the day. Tell us about the early part of your race, how you strategized your way into the lead of the class.
Well, I was kind of like forced into it by the big punt that I got on lap 2, which put me towards the back of the field. Lost about 4 or 5 positions on that. So it's just basically trying to strategize the fuel amount to make sure that I got the most out of it with the weight as well. Looks like I timed it right, which is good. Got a bit lucky with some of the pros coming out in front of me as well. So that was nice. But overall, pretty happy with the finish.
And you must be, pretty close to feeling secure in the lead of the AM Championship as well. But what confidence does this give you to be winning again? Because we know that, while you've been leading the championship, that hasn't been coming quite as freely for you in recent weeks as it was in the first couple of weeks. How big is that to have a win again under your belt?
It's good. It's good. I won't lie. So last time out, you asked me the same question about finishing P2 a lot. And I gave the old PR answer of, points win championships, not wins. And I still like wins. So, yeah, quite happy to be winning again. So that's good.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, congrats on winning tonight, Luke, in the AM class. And thanks again for chatting to us.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers, guys.
Thanks so much, Luke Crowley, the winner tonight from the AM class, and that's just about going to do it. Unfortunately, Sebastian Lipp, I don't think he's going to join us for a chat at the end here tonight, which is a bit of a shame. But we've had a great race here, JL, at Hockenheim. It's been a little while since we've had such a close finish like that here in this series. Always fascinating races, but very rarely in any series do you get quite a last lap finish like that.
Yeah, really, really great stuff, and just kind of highlights the kind of quality that we see around here, and also highlights the way these cars perform on F1 tracks. I'm telling you, this is the place the schedule should land every time we do one of these. And looky here, we're going to head over to Italy, to Imola, for our next round on October 5th, and you are not going to want to miss that.
Absolutely. Make sure you join us again on the 5th of October from 9 p.m. Central European time for the penultimate round of our championship from Imola, with just 2 rounds to go until the Radical Sim Racing World Finals at the end of 2023. It's been a great week here from the Hockenheim. It's been a pleasure to bring you the Friday night and indeed Sunday night broadcast here on RaceSpotTV. But that's just about it from us here from Germany this season. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside JL Gregory in commentary, with Miro Augustin Cisneros behind the cameras tonight of this RaceSpotTV broadcast of the Radical Sim Racing European Championship in 2025. We hope to see you again very soon on the 5th of October in the next round of the European Championship. Between now and then, of course, the next round of the Americas Championship is coming up on this YouTube channel, so make sure you have a look out for that as well. Goodbye from us here from the Hockenheim, and we'll see you again in Imola in 4 weeks' time.